Flamingo Books. Shining English Reader. Series 7. Chapter 8. Escape to the Island. The storm raged for many days. It increased in fury until, on the 7th day, we gave up all hope. We were utterly exhausted by then, trying to keep ourselves from where we were. However, it was impossible to reach because of the storm. My heart sank as I looked at my family in the midst of these horrors. Our 4 young sons were terrified. My wife looked brave and, as the boys clustered round her, she began to cheer and encourage them with calm and loving words. "We must find some food and take a good supper," said my wife. "We cannot fast for too long or it will make us weak. We will need all our strength tomorrow." Soon it was night and the storm was as fierce as ever. At intervals we were startled by crashes announcing further damage to our unfortunate ship. A good meal was now ready and the children ate it all up. The smaller ones fell asleep soon after. Fritz, who was of an age to be aware of the real danger we were in, kept watch with us. After a long silence, he said, "Father, don't you think we might contrive swimming belts for Mother and the boys? With those we might all escape to land, for you and I can swim." We immediately searched about for what would answer the purpose, and fortunately got hold of a number of empty flasks and tin canisters, which we tied together with ropes so as to form float belts. By morning, the storm had ended and the sun shone again. I aroused the boys and we assembled on the remaining portion of the deck. We decided to search the ship to see if we could find anything useful. I started looking for the supplies of provisions and fresh water within our reach. I knew they were of great importance. When we reassembled in the cabin, we all displayed our treasures. Fritz brought flasks of water. Ernest produced a cap full of nails, a pair of large scissors and a hammer. Many kinds of other tools stuck out of all his pockets. Even little Franz carried a box of supplies. "Well done, Franz," I said. "Won't you praise me too?" said my wife. "I have nothing to show, but I can give you good news. Some useful animals are still alive: a donkey, 2 goats, 6 sheep, a ram and a cow. They were nearly dead from starvation, but I was just in time to save their lives by giving food to them." "All these things are excellent indeed," said I, "but Jack here has presented me with a couple of huge hungry useless dogs, who will eat more than any of us." "Oh, Papa, they will help protect us when we get on shore," cried Jack. "No doubt they will, if ever we do get on shore, Jack, but I must say I don't know how it is to be done." "Can't we each get into a big tub and float there?" returned he. "I have often sailed easily like that, round the pond at home." "My child, that is a brilliant idea," I said. We very soon found 4 large casks, made of good wood and strongly bound with iron hoops. They were exactly what I wanted. With a saw, I cut each cask into half, so that we now had 8 tubs. My 8 tubs now stood ranged in a row near the water's edge and I looked at them with great satisfaction. I now tied a long rope to the stern of our boat and we began to push. Soon our boat was safely launched. The boat appearing steady, I got in. The boys brought oars to be ready for the voyage. The ducks and geese were set free, and started swimming in the water at once. The pigeons, glad to find that they could fly again, swiftly made for the shore. All being ready, we moved away from the wreck. The elder boys took the oars. Everyone wore a float belt and had something useful close to him in case of being thrown into the water. We had left the 2 dogs, Turk and Juno, on the wreck. But when they saw us leave without them, they started howling and sprang into the sea. They followed us, occasionally resting their paws on the edges of the float belts around each person. "Oh, look here, Father," cried Jack, drawing a little spyglass joyfully out of his pocket. He gave it to me and I started looking towards the island. I soon saw an opening, where a stream flowed into the sea. We rowed towards the stream and we found ourselves in a small bay. The water was perfectly smooth and of moderate depth. The ground seemed plain, on which it was easy for us to land. We started looking for a suitable place to make a tent in which to pass the night. When this was done, the boys ran to collect grass to spread in the tent for our beds, while I collected wood to make a fire. After a few minutes, I was startled by Jack's cries for help. He was at some distance and I ran towards his voice. I found Jack standing in a deep pool, screaming. As I came closer, I saw that a huge crab had caught his leg in its powerful claw. I waded through the water and, seizing the crab firmly by the back, managed to make it loosen its hold. Fritz told us how he had been to the other side of the stream. "It is so different from this side," he said. "It is really a beautiful country, and the shore, which runs down to the sea in a gentle slope, is covered with all sorts of useful things from the wreck. Do let us go and collect them. And father, we can return to the ship and bring back some of the animals." "Stop, my boy," I said. "All will be done in good time." While we were talking, Jack had been unsuccessfully trying to open an oyster with his penknife. "Here is a simpler way," I said, placing the oyster on the fire. It immediately opened. Soon the sun was sinking beneath the horizon. Then hens gathered around us and began to pick up the crumbs of biscuits which had fallen during our dinner. My wife then took some handfuls of grain from a bag she carried and began to feed the poultry. We were all ready to sleep, and having closed our tent, we lay down to rest.